Esther Peirce, who is one of the SEC commissioners, recently came out with some statements on something else. She wasn't talking about the Ripple versus the SEC case, but her statements could allude to the fact that Ripple was really right all along. I'm going to tell you what she said and how it actually backs up Ripple's case. Also in this video, we're going to talk about a couple of things that we're waiting for in the Ripple versus the SEC case, specifically one that Jeremy Hogan thinks could come as early as today, or possibly next week, but I'll let you know what that is. Also, we are going to jump into the price of Bitcoin because it's becoming really popular on Twitter to talk about Bitcoin right now, even if you are not in the crypto Twitter community. So I'm going to talk about what some of the price analysts, what some of the chart analysts, what some of the on-chain analysts are saying about Bitcoin and what it's actually doing right now, and what it could do in the future. There's some really interesting predictions coming out. And what does the price of XRP correlate to? Because it's had some really wild times in the past day. So let's talk about what some of these indicators are saying. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now on this channel we are talking about the Ripple versus the SEC case, but I'm also talking about cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind community. And don't forget to hit that bell notification icon. That way YouTube will send you a notification when I release a new video. Also, if you're feeling generous, I'd appreciate it if you do two things: smash the thumbs up button and watch the video all the way to the end. Those are the two best things you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So before I continue on with the rest of this video, I did want to make one quick announcement, and that is to pay attention to my next video because I do have an announcement about this channel that I don't want you guys to miss. So first thing, let's talk about what the price of Bitcoin is doing because it's driving the rest of the prices wild. And what's actually driving the price of Bitcoin right now? Well, in my last video, I talked about what Cowen is actually doing, who is one of the co-creators of Terra Luna, who is buying literally billions and billions of dollars of Bitcoin to back their own, essentially, stable coin, and he has a goal of making it one of the biggest Bitcoin owners in the world, second only to Satoshi Nakamoto's account that has 1 million Bitcoin in it that hasn't moved since he created it. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't think it really matters. There are some people think that having that many Bitcoin and having that much control is a problem. In the Bitcoin world, I don't really think there is a problem. There are literally hundreds of millions of people globally that hold Bitcoin. Holding a certain amount of Bitcoin doesn't give you any more control over it than anybody else, at least not from a coding and from a technical perspective. Okay, so now that the price has been moving up, due in some part at least, to what Terra Luna's been doing, buying, I believe, about $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin in the past week or two. But on top of that, he also picked the very best time to actually make that announcement because there's a lot of people that believe that the macro bottom for Bitcoin is actually in. And I follow some of these chart analysts, some of these macro analysts on a daily basis, and there's a few of them. One is named TechDev, who is on Twitter. He is a price analyst that I follow, and he's recently been tweeting out some of the charts and some of the indicators that point to that. So did Cowen of Terra Luna actually wait until the macro bottom was in to go ahead and make this announcement to essentially push and give a little assist to Bitcoin to continue its run for the rest of the year, or what some people are thinking for the next 2 years? All right, so what does TechDev say? Well, he's pointing to a couple of technical indicators, one of which is a 3-week vortex indicator that is actually crossing a key marker right now. And it hasn't done that, and it's only done that a couple of times in the past couple of years, and every other time it's done that, it's literally been right before Bitcoin has gone on a several-month or even several-year bull run. Along with that, he pointed out that the amount of Bitcoin that's been dormant for 1 year, which means it hasn't been traded or sold or done anything with, is now at 60%, which is one of the highest rates it's ever been. And of course, all at the same time, while these indicators are crossing, the dormancy flow has bottomed, which the last couple of times that has happened, again, it was followed by a massive bull run. Okay, so what are these chartists telling us? Well, I've seen some very credible chart analysts talk about this, and I've seen some people that I have absolutely no idea who they are on Twitter tweeting out charts with fractals, some of which point to $120,000 Bitcoin. Well, the video that I talked about yesterday said just with the billions that Terra Luna is buying could push this price up to $200,000 in short order, just because of the scarcity factor and the fact that there's not as much Bitcoin on exchanges to even buy if you wanted to. And of course, we have the guys that are reading the Fibonacci charts, that are reading the Elliott Wave charts, and they're pointing to $350,000 to $400,000 Bitcoin. either by the end of this year, or some people think towards the end of 2024. Yes, it could actually take that long. Now, these could actually be chart analysts, I just never heard of them, or they could just be on Twitter looking for engagement factors to try and drive up their following. Yes, that does happen on Twitter. But nonetheless, some of the things that these guys are actually pointing out make a lot of sense. And now when you combine that with what Benjamin Cowen has been preaching for quite a long time, in fact, it's been about a year since I mentioned Benjamin Cowen's lengthening market cycle theory, and that this is actually going to be the year in which Bitcoin sees its blow off top. All right, but where are we at right now? Okay, so Bitcoin has run all the way up to 48, and then it's pulled back to 44, which I've seen several people on Twitter say it was most likely going to do. And if you don't believe in things like Fibonacci levels on charts or trend lines on charts, well, draw a few, and you will be scary shocked at how accurate these numbers are at actually hitting these lines almost every single time. In fact, when we were at 48,000, they said it was going to come back to 44,000 because that's what one of the retest resistance levels was at. All the daily closes for the past couple of months were right at about 44,000 and change. So that's exactly what Bitcoin hit. But where does Bitcoin go from here? Well, it's looking like probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 51,000 would be the next resistance level if the price continues upward, of course. Now, where does that leave XRP? Because I've been looking at some of the correlations between XRP and Bitcoin, which have been really, really tight the past couple of months, except for maybe a couple of outlier days. But right now, XRP has had some problems of its own. Yesterday, it experienced going from 87 cents to 78 cents in an hour. In 1 hour, when Bitcoin was experiencing some of the short squeezes and a drop back into the $46,000, $45,000, $44,000 level. So where is XRP going to go if Bitcoin's at 51,000? The correlation suggests it would be right around $1. And speaking of some XRP news, or at least some Ripple versus the SEC news, what I've been hearing is that right now in the case, we are actually waiting for one of the biggest decisions of the case to actually come down from Judge Deaton, which is her reconsideration on the Hinman emails, the DPP decision. That has to be made. And someone on Twitter asked Jeremy Hogan, when can we expect that decision to be made? Jeremy Hogan said it could happen today, meaning today. He said, or it could happen next week, we really don't know. But what he does know is that Judge Deaton has been fully briefed for 10 days now, so it is getting on in time. And now I'm going to talk about what one of the other SEC commissioners, Hester Peirce, has to say, not about the Ripple versus the SEC case specifically, but a lot of the comments actually make sense. And in fact, it's what Ripple has been claiming now for several years, since December 22nd, 2020. Recently, the SEC came out with one of their accounting bulletins, which is basically what they do when they are announcing some things, certain measures, specifically in how specific businesses should keep track of their accounting, how they should handle certain things. The SEC actually put out a document to exchanges, to crypto exchanges specifically, on how they should handle cryptocurrency assets from an accounting standpoint. The SEC thinks that because they're actually holding essentially custody of somebody else's cryptocurrency, that these platforms should be listing it as a liability and doing that as a way to show its obligation to essentially protect, hold, and manage somebody else's crypto assets. So Hester Peirce came out and had their own statement on the matter, and she talked about why she kind of disagrees with it. But nonetheless, in her statement, she's actually making a comment that Ripple's been agreeing with for a couple of years, because she's basically calling out the SEC for not having clarity, not having rules and regulations in the crypto asset space for years. So here's what she said. She says, the commission has refused, despite many pleas over the years, to provide regulatory guidance about how our rules apply to crypto assets. And so some of the responsibility for the lack of legal and regulatory clarity lies at our doorstep, speaking of the SEC. She's absolutely 100% right. Ripple also agrees. Now, is that going to end SEC's case? No. But it's another quote from an SEC commissioner showing that, listen, for years there has been no regulatory clarity. And if you've been following my channel, following this case, you know that that's true. And so if you want to follow along with what Judge Deaton is going to decide on the Hinman emails and the DPP, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to the Late Night Grind community, because you're not going to want to miss that video once it comes out. And also, you can have a conversation with me about it. Leave a comment in the comment section, or of course, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll have a link in the description below. And just as a reminder, on the next video, I will have a small announcement about this channel that I'm really excited about. So be on the lookout for that video. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.